It's that time of year. Pumpkin spice latte sales are at their annual peak. Overpriced orange gourds are sitting out front of every major retail store. In America, we're all plastering fake cobwebs all over our houses, even though we've just spent the past year trying to clean up real cobwebs. It's that time of year where men dress up as serial killers and women can dress up like slutty nurses and get white girl wasted. Some call it the season of the witch, but this year, for me, I think it's the season of the voodoo. Null Knives exploded onto the scene with his first design, the Raiden, about a year ago, and this, the Null Knives Voodoo, is his exceptional sophomore design, a stunning, full-size, full titanium folder sculpted and molded as if by Michelangelo himself. It is truly a visceral feast for the eyes, stepping away from the norm in the knife world these days. The man behind Null Knives went tits out, buck wild, over the top on this design. Visually speaking, it's stunning. Again, it's a full titanium build. On this model here, we have these beautifully sculpted micarta overlays that technically make this a bolster lock. We have this magnificent looking pocket clip that works exceptionally well for everyday use and carry, no matter what kind of pants you decide to wear. It's seductive. The lines, those sweet, sensual, sweeping lines, each one serving a purpose, each one aiding comfort in hand, while managing to, well, not be ugly. Opened up, this full-size folder shows off its party piece, that beautiful Wharncliffe-esque blade done up in M390, sporting a nice, deep hollow grind, these deep angular deployment slots and those uniquely shaped step-milled pyramid thumb stud things, running on buttered up bearings and built to exacting precision by Rayet Knives. This spooky high-end folder checks pretty much every single one of my boxes. And we haven't even made it to the important stuff yet. Moving away from the visuals, let's talk about the ergonomics. In hand and in use, the Voodoo is an absolute dream, as if custom molded to the human hand. It just melts into every grip imaginable. Choke back, and the clip disappears. Your thumb lands on the jimping on the blade spine, and because this is a full-size knife, it will comfortably fill almost any size set of hands. Choke up, and your fingers nestle into those ergonomic lines as if they were always meant to be there. And you find yourself right up behind that warranty, ready for some controlled, detailed slicing and dicing. Pinch grip, reverse grip, tactical Navy SEAL death squad grip, no problem. It all works great, and it all feels great. Everything is nicely knocked down, no sharp edges left behind, no detail overlooked. It really is. It's an ergonomic wonderland, as overused as that statement is in the knife world these days. Now then, moving on to cutting performance. First off, Wharncliffe. Right, check please, enough said. My all-time favorite blade shape. Second, M390, check and check. Lastly, a sensationally deep hollow grind that brings that relatively thick blade stock down to an impossibly thin final cutting edge. The absolute raw cutting performance here is top-notch. Straight out of the box, this thing will no doubt blow your mind and or blow your tits clean off when you first take it to paper or cardboard. And because M390 is a full-blown super steel and it has been heat-treated exceptionally well, that mind-blowing sliciness will last you a very good long while before it's time for the first sharpening. To give you some perspective, several YouTubers got to play with this piece before me. By several, I mean like a dozen. Even so, by the time I got it, by the time I was able to play with it, the edge was still incredible, and it seemed to still be the factory edge. No chips, no dull spots, just raw cutting power. Top marks for that blade. And finally, the action, my favorite category when I review any knife, and I have to be completely honest with you all here, I think this might be the smoothest, most satisfying action I have ever experienced on a production knife. Ever. I can't even begin to describe how it feels. Whatever secret sauce Rayet buttered up these bearings with, it's working. The detent is exceptionally well dialed in. Borderline flawless thumb flicks and reverse flicks are magnificently satisfying. And even though those are technically our only modes of actuation, we have options. You can use the removable pyramid thumb studs or the machine deployment grooves, so wherever your finger lands on the length of the blade, you can flick it open. Thumb flick, reverse flick, doesn't matter, and it rockets out with nary a sound. and absolutely no resistance to speak of. And on the close, whatever special Kobe beef lard they use to butter up these bearings once again brings that big, beautiful warning home in a single, silent, hydraulic, insanely smooth controlled motion. It's kind of mind-blowing, honestly. For the longest time, I refused to believe that this knife was actually made by Rayot. Even though they're the best in the biz, I had never experienced action this insanely smooth on any Rayot-made knife before. It's miraculous. Like, I'm running out of adjectives here. You owe it to yourself to experience it firsthand. It's kind of insane. So where does all of this gushing leave me with the Null Knives Voodoo made by Rayot Knives? Well, I'm smitten. What can I say? I'm head over heels in love with it, you know? In my experience, this might just be the greatest thing Rayot has ever made. It would be incredible if this had come from a veteran knife designer with dozens of designs under their belt, but you have to remember that this is the man's second ever knife design. Ever. Just puts it in a whole different league to me. I fell in love at first flick and I got married at first slice. I have missed it dearly ever since I had to send it off to the next person in line, and I will most definitely be the first in line when the pre-order date arrives, which, by the way, is October 27th of 2022, the year of our Lord. Do not miss this one. Do not skip this one. It is an absolute must-have knife in 2022. And yes, even though it does cost around $350-ish, good God, it's well worth the price. I know I must survive several more months without touching a Voodoo again, but I can tell you all with extreme confidence that this thing is so well worth the wait. So until next time, thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye now.